What's going on, everybody? So, I was thinking to myself, like, I want to put more content up, but I don't know what to do. And then I was thinking, like, what's something I do naturally or can do naturally that I think people will get a kick out of? And the one thing I do, and I do it a lot at work or when I'm with family, and that's we all love to tell stories, especially work stories. We always get a kick out of hearing about that one customer that pushes us just a little too far, or that one trainee that just you you just want to, like, put the boot to and get them out of here. But so I figure maybe just add a little more real life flavor to the channel, and hopefully you all enjoy. I, for one, am huge on hearing about just stories involving work and people you meet and customers and stuff like that. So let me know if there's something you can get a kick out of. I have plenty of work stories, but this one is basically going to be when I worked at this small cafe in a little town called Liverpool. It's in central New York, and I was hired to be a line cook. It was like a short order line cook at a small little cafe. I think it was called like Sarantino's. I think that's what it was, if I remember correctly. I was like 19, 20 years old at the time. I was only there for a couple months. I think that might be up there as far as shortest jobs I've ever had. The one job I remember having the shortest amount of time, I think it was like a pizza shop, and I was only there for a week, and that could maybe be for another time. But no, when it comes to jobs, I usually hold on to them for a fairly long time, several years at the very least. And the only reason I go from one to another is because we move, or just living situations change. So sometimes the job has to change. But this one, I want to talk about this little cafe, and I bring up I was only there for like a couple of months because it honestly felt like an eternity. If anyone has ever worked at a job for such a short period of time, but with all the crap that you have to deal with, it feels like it takes so much out of you. So, I had just gotten out of working for Fast Track Markets. I'd been there for about a year. And this was around 2006, 2007-ish. And it was an okay job. The problem with it was, like, working at a gas station, there's a lot you have to do. So I really wanted to get away from the monotony of working for a franchise gas station and try something different. So I thought maybe try doing line cook, because I knew someone who worked there and they helped me get the job because they recommended me. So I'll say this right off the bat. This is the kind of place, and some of you might understand where I'm coming from. This is the kind of place where you go in there and you really find out the hard way that the people running the show don't know what the hell they're doing. This was certainly no exception to that. The owner / manager, I guess, literally had no idea what she was doing. And she portrayed herself as a successful business owner because I guess she managed or ran a Fortune 500 company, and now she was doing a small, like, little cafe. And I'm like, that's cool, you ran a Fortune 500 company, but when you're in the food service, it's a whole different other ballgame. It don't matter if you're successful in one venture, if you're getting into another. It really depends on, how well people take to the product that you are giving, or serving, I should say. So, at this point, my experience with food was fairly limited. However, the menu was pretty self-explanatory. The problem I ran into is that not only did the manager / owner not know anything, a lot of the people that worked there didn't know anything. Like, literally knew nothing about cooking. I had gone in there working with a previous experience aside working from a gas station. There's some cooking, but literally just putting frozen pizza into an oven, and whatever's sitting on the roller. Anyone who goes to a 7-Eleven knows what I'm talking about. But before that, it was like a year and a half working in a pizza shop, and I absolutely love that. So, um, this was the first red flag to me, and follow me on this. I'll try not to draw this out too much. So I remember going in there and getting a run of the place. The dining area was really nice. Not a ton of seating, but a good amount of seating. Had a nice bar. But once you like get to the back of the back was like obvious, like that was the kitchen area. Like that was the kitchen area. Then in the far back you had your fryers and your grill, and then to the right this is when you're walking in, you had the right to the right of when you walked in was the dishwashing. It was all in one big self-contained room, which took up what I felt was at least half of the space in here, and I didn't think it needed to be, but that goes without saying. Anyway, the point I'm trying to illustrate is that this is a fairly big room, and walking in there, I could not help but notice how very unclean it was. And anyone who's been in food business knows that anytime a health inspector comes through and they will nitpick everything. I knew instantly that if I were here for a health inspection within the next week, we'd be shut down. It was that bad. So they show me around, and they are teaching me their signature item, which is basically a burger with a glob of Velveeta cheese that they melt on top. And apparently the owner paid a lot of money to get the rights to this burger so she could sell it as her own. I personally thought it was a huge waste of money, because no one's going out of their way to get very bland and, in my opinion, overrated congealed cheese that you're basically cutting half thick slices, and they want to put on top of like a 1/4 inch burger patty. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to have inconsistencies. But anyway, I'll get to all that in a minute. But like, as you can tell, I'm not really feeling the product, but I wanted the job. And as I'm training, kind of go back to what I was saying about the cleanliness, I had said to my trainer, who was same age as me, I was 19, 20 years old. And I said to him, and I was like, hey, I'm just wondering, like the cleaning, when do we normally like have time to do that? And he just says, oh, we don't worry about it. And I'm like, really? I'm surprised the health inspector hasn't come in. And he instantly changed his tone from being helpful to being demeaning, because I asked him about like, when do we clean, which is a silly question to ask at the time, but like being 19, 20 years old and being used to having like downtime, like, from 2 until 4 would be considered downtime at the first job I had, because you're after lunch and you're not quite in a dinner yet. So that's what I meant. And he just told me, don't worry about it. So hopefully this is painting a picture as to how everyone treated this place. You have the owner / manager who didn't know anything about food at all. And I'll get to that in a minute. The person who was training me, who was their head cook, did not care at all about cleanliness. And when I mean dirty, I mean these floors had not been swept and a mop had not touched them, I think, since the new owner took over 2-3 months prior. The walls were okay. They had a lot of metal shelving and it just scattered all over the place. It almost looked like it was supposed to be an impromptu warehouse for like supplies, because that's where we also had to carry our dry stock as well as our like packaging. So like it's literally you walk in, 2 sets of doors, and then like 3 rows of shelving in front of you, and it's all dry stock and equipment and like packaging stuff, and then there's your cooking stuff, and then on each side is your cold and frozen storage. So the head cook training me didn't really know or really have any interest in showing about the cleaning or bringing up cleaning. Moving on. So I kind of got the feeling going into it. from what I'm telling you, that this is not exactly the kind of institution where a lot of people are going to take a lot of pride in their work. So first weekend, I'm being trained on how to do that burger I was telling you about. And I asked the manager, I asked her, is there a reason why we're cutting the Velveeta cheese so thick? And she said, well, we just want to make sure everyone has a bunch on their burger. And I said, well, no, the reason I'm asking is because the burger is already half done by the time we put on the cheese, and the cheese that we're putting on is thicker than the actual cut of the meat. So aren't we going to be running into like a little bit of a temperature difference? So she laughs and she says, well, by the time, you plate it up and we get it out there, it'll be warm. And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, I know that's not going to happen. It's kind of like the people that think that putting one ice cube inside of a hot drink will instantly turn it cold by the time it gets to the person, by the time it goes from kitchen to person. No, there's not enough time. You can't heat up something that was just kept under 40 degrees and heat it to the point where it's like hot enough all the way through where you can even like eat it, which is supposed to be over 145 degrees. And I just was like, okay, this person clearly doesn't know what they're doing. So I made it my mission to cut it was that brick Velveeta cheese that you see in stores, and they literally 1/4-inch slices on top of about 1/4-inch to 1/2-inch slices on top of 1/4-inch beef patties. And because the cut was so small and the patty was so bigger, it just looked weird. It kind of looked like if you're getting like a stack of pancakes and you got that one like square cut of butter sitting on top and it hasn't quite melted yet. That's kind of the issue I was having here, and I addressed this problem and they didn't really care. We did homemade fries, which is fine. I used to do that all the time. The problem is that the people who were holding the fries did not understand the concept that if you're not using the fries, we need to be holding them in a cold place, and if we're not using them that day, we really shouldn't be using them days later. So one Thursday, I'm doing the cooking. I have one of the other cooks there, and I had pointed out that, well, all of the fries in this 5-gallon bucket are starting to turn gray. Like, they're not kind of discolored. No. They're gray. So she says to me, oh, don't worry about it. Once you cook it, it'll be fine. And I'm like, no. You can't take food that's going bad or gone bad and cook it and say, don't worry, it's fine. These are the same people that drop food on the floor and then like toss it back in a pan or back in a fryer and cook it for like 5-10 seconds and tell me, oh no, it's fine. And like, no, it's not fine. Once it touches the floor, it's dirty. And no, once it goes bad, you can't use it. Like, stop taking these ridiculous shortcuts. So I said, no, I don't feel comfortable using these. We're going to get someone sick. I'm just going to make a fresh batch. And it was one of those old presses where it's like this grid of blades, and you set it like the potato sitting on top, and then you pull a lever down and it pushes it through and fries, basically. That's the quickest way to get fries. So I'm doing that, and the owner comes in and she sees me doing that, and then she sees the giant 5-gallon bucket that's sitting on top of a milk crate, and she says, why aren't you using those? And I said, well, because they're turning gray. She goes, oh no, that's fine. That's discoloration. That's oxidation. And I looked at her and I'm like, they're gray. I said, so I made it a point to kind of push it, because it's like, at the time, I'm not an expert on these things, but I'm like, I know what a potato is supposed to look like. And if these cut potatoes, which are sitting at room temperature water, by the way, yeah, you see where this is going. She goes, no, just use them up. And I said, I really don't feel comfortable using it. I think that's how we're going to get someone sick. And she goes, no, just use those. So I literally just waited for her to leave, and I made fresh ones. And then when she found out that I did, she then was like, oh, if you're not going to follow instructions, then, we're going to have problems. And I, again, pressed the issue. I'm not comfortable selling food to people that is going bad. And her argument is, it's not bad. It's just, that's what happens when potatoes that are cut are sitting in room temperature water for far too long. They're not being chilled properly, and then when they start touching the air, because eventually the potatoes are going to soak up all of this moisture, you're going to have stuff sitting at the top that's going to start turning color. Am I painting the picture yet of just how little these people understand food? And again, I'm not an expert on the matter, but I know when something is bad, you shouldn't serve it, especially if you're just starting out. So this woman already wanted to take shortcuts. So, there's so much stuff happened. So, that weekend, I had pointed out, I'm like, hey, I'm going to clean the fryers tonight. She says, okay, cool. We haven't had that done in a while. And I'm laughing, and I'm like, oh, when? What was the last time you did it? Like 2 months ago? And I start laughing, and she instantly gets upset, and she's like, well, what's that supposed to mean? I'm like, I was a joke. I'm like, I don't actually think you haven't cleaned it in over 2 months. She goes, well, I don't know if anyone's touched it since we opened. And I'm like, are you serious? And it was confirmed. There was a quarter of this fryer full of burnt food and breading. It was disgusting. It took me an hour to finally get the oil drained out of this thing, because where the bottom drain of the fryer is, and the pump and the pipe that it feeds out into the metal drum I was using to hold oil, and then I had to have a special system, some kind of cheesecloth basket to catch all of the sediment that was flowing out too. I had to keep jamming this wire brush in there just to get it free. And then finally, once I got it free, I'm sitting there and I'm cleaning it with water and baking soda, and they had they didn't have any product to clean it, so I'm using with what little information I have, what little product I had to clean with. And I'm doing that, and then I told her, I said, yeah, you definitely need new oil. This oil is pitch black, and the food coming out has burnt stuff all over it, burnt breading and particles that are being pushed around by the heating system, and all the food's getting covered, and not to mention it tastes like crap. So she says, oh, okay, well then you just go get more oil. And I said, okay, well, do we have any? She says, oh, I don't know. I don't do the ordering. So I find out through the head, the bartender, I guess, because that's pretty much all he did. He was a host too, but he was primarily bartending. So I found out from him that it was the assistant manager's job to do the ordering. So I said, okay, cool. Who is that? We need to order oil for this fryer. I can't cook anything else. Or he needs to do a run to Maine's, and he needs to get some. Maine's was a small, warehouse store. But I needed at least 4 to 5 gallons of oil. So he laughs and says, yeah, good luck with that. And I go, why? He goes, oh, because the assistant manager is only 14. He can't drive. I'm like, I'm like, what? He goes, oh yeah, it's the owner's son. The owner's son is the assistant manager. I'm like, okay, now the whole picture is basically painted complete for me. So I meet this kid finally after, a week? And the reason why I didn't meet him was because he was too busy taking his midterms and he couldn't come in to get stuff done. Yeah, responsible assistant manager there. So I finally meet this kid, 14 years old. He thinks he knows everything about everything. And I said to him, hey man, we need to get some oil for these fryers. He goes, no, we don't. Just reuse the oil that was in there. I said, no, I'm not doing that. It's pitch black oil. He goes, no, it's fine. It'll last. He goes, I don't have any way of getting there. I'm like, I don't care. We need to order it. I'm like, I showed him it. It was this giant metal pot, this giant metal pot full of black fryer oil. And this guy's telling me to use it again. I said, I'm not putting this back in the fryer. We need to get fryer oil. He goes, well, I can't order from so-and-so now. It's after a certain time. And I said, okay, well then, can someone go over to Nichols, which was a local grocery store. I said, someone needs to go over there and get oil then. He goes, well, we'd have to run over, and he just fought it tooth and nail because he was given the role of assistant manager and didn't know what he was doing. And the only thing he knew how to order was the bread and the rolls and like maybe dry stock, but that was it. And I'm like, how on earth are you keeping this place stocked? So, oh my God, that was another thing. The owner wanted us to have a breakfast menu on the weekends, and her reasoning for it was, was very religious, and at the time I was not into religion, and I didn't understand her logic behind it. She goes, when people get done from church on Sundays, they're going to want to go and get pancakes and waffles. So she tried to train me and the only other cook at the time how to do this, except for the fact that the way she had us do it made absolutely no sense. Like, she was trying to teach us to be breakfast cooks, but she didn't know how to be a breakfast cook. So here we are trying to like learn how to make pancakes, and she wants us to use like this Play-Doh thick pancake batter, and it's not cooking correctly and coming out dry. And then she wants us to serve them where like the pancakes are paper thin and you can fold them over onto each other and it looks like a deli meat platter. I'm like, who are you trying to cater to? You are literally running a little burger joint / cafe in the middle of a small village in Liverpool, New York, selling copyrighted burgers with half-inch thick cut slices of Velveeta cheese, and you're literally connected to a yoga studio, and here you are thinking you're now going to cater to these massive Sunday morning brunch crowd, and you want to serve folded pancakes on these special Thanksgiving, these special oval Thanksgiving serving plates, and no one has a clue what they're doing because no one's ever been a breakfast cook. And I had said, I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. And she got mad. She's like, well, this is a great money-making opportunity. And I told her, I said, well, we definitely need more training. And then eventually the idea was scrapped because she didn't know what she was doing. We didn't know what we were doing at the time. The recipes that she had wanted us to use were not working. And upon further investigation, they were from home cooks who are basically making them a certain way for them and their family based on their preference. And I found out later when I worked for other places that when it comes to pancakes, less is more. You really shouldn't be trying to use like Play-Doh, like thick and gunky mixture to make pancakes. And then she gave us crap because we couldn't do that. And then it was the fish fry on Friday. Here's a good one. So she wanted to do fish and chips on Friday. Cool. I totally get that. Fish and chips is a very big thing where I live. And I said, that's cool. Like, absolutely. So we got together an idea of how to cook the fish. We got an idea of how to, like, the fries. So I come in at 3 o'clock on a Friday. That's when I was scheduled to come in. And I walk in, and the head cook who was there that morning was already on his way out the door. I saw, like, the back of him, and then he left. And I'm like, okay, he's whatever. He's got to go. So I'm looking around. I don't see my fish fillets anywhere. So I run out back hoping to catch him, and he's sitting out there puffing on a cigarette, and I ask him, hey, where's my fish? He goes, you got to go downstairs and pull it from the freezer. I'm like, I beg your pardon? He goes, yeah, you got to pull it from your freezer and thaw it. And I'm like, it's 3 o'clock on a Friday. This should already be done. And he goes, don't worry about it. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes. I'm like, a few minutes? We're thawing fillets of haddock. This is not going to take 5 minutes, dude. This is going to take a while. So I go downstairs and I grab like one of the giant blocks of frozen haddock and I put it in. I put it in the sink in a metal colander. The colander was sitting on top of like a metal mixing bowl, and I was running cold water on it because anyone who knows food, that's the proper way to defrost things. There has to be some water escaping it, and it cannot be hot water. And again, if the health department sees otherwise, they will shut you down. That's a huge violation because you're going to risk someone getting sick if you do it under hot water. So owner lady comes in, and she asked, okay, we got a bunch of people out there wanting to get fish. We ready to go? And I said, no, I'm not. I just got in the door about 5-10 minutes ago. And I think the guy's name was John, the head cook. I'm like, John didn't pull any fish for tonight. And she goes, okay, well then start thawing it. I said, I did start thawing it. It's going to be at least a half an hour before I can even get any of this out. So she goes, oh, well, that's your problem. The water's cold. And she runs her hand under the water. So then she turns off the cold water and turns on the hot water. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, oh, that's how you defrost things. I'm going, no, that's how you get people sick. You're supposed to do it under cold water. She goes, excuse me, I think I know what I'm talking about. And I go, no, you don't, because I had to deal with this health inspector for the last 2 years at 2 different jobs, and they all told us the same thing. If you're going to thaw something, there's a way to do it, and you can't run it under hot water, especially seafood. Especially seafood, the one food you do not want to rush to thaw because it can get somebody terribly sick. No, do it that way. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it that way. So I turn off the hot water and I turn on the cold water and I said, no, we cannot serve this until it is properly thawed. I said, we have got to push other menu items until this is ready. She goes, well, I already have people coming in for tonight that I promised was going to get fish. And I'm like, well, then you're going to have to tell them they're going to have to wait. Because the guy running the show didn't pull it earlier. He should have pulled it at lunchtime. He goes, well, that's not his job. That's your job. I'm like, I come in at 3 o'clock. Do you see where I'm going here? So, this was going back and forth. And then I had it out with her a couple times about her son, who was running around the place with power tools, doing God knows what, nothing of importance. I mean, he was drilling holes through walls because he was trying to find better ways to, like, hook up TVs through other rooms without having cords dangle. I'm like, you have a rafter system. Just zip tie the damn cords to the metal rafters. You're fine. He goes, no, I want to feed it through it. I think it looks better. I'm like, yes, and my main issue was until you drill through a wall not knowing what's there. Like, what if you go through a support or you hit a wire or you hit electrical? I'm like, then you're screwed. So I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with the owner/manager who has it in her mind that she is the best cafe owner in the world. By the way, sales sucked. Sales were terrible. On most nights I worked, I'll be lucky if we made like a couple $100. We'll be lucky. And we did not make ton during the day. And to kind of sum it up, because we're going on 30 minutes. So I did this for about 2 months. And I went in, I worked my job. I tried to do the best I could do. I tried to clean everything. The head guy running the show didn't know what he was doing. He was more interested on just getting paid and leaving. The other cooks that were there didn't have a clue what they were doing. One of which did care, but they were also 17 years old and shouldn't have been on the line to begin with. And I had said something about that. I said, you will get hit so hard for that. I said, if anyone from the state finds out you have a 17-year-old cooking, you will be shut down. She goes, well, then we don't need to say anything. And, like, that's the kind of person I was dealing with. And, like, there was a time I did the bread order and got yelled at because I had spent too much. And I said, well, we needed more rolls. We needed more baguettes. We needed all kinds of stuff. She goes, well, you spent too much money. I could have sent my son over to Nichols and get it. And I said, that's funny, because the last time I asked him to go and get something, all he did was argue with me about it. And she goes, well, that was because he didn't like the way you asked him. I'm like, it doesn't matter. He's the assistant manager. He needs to just do it. That's his job. So on and on this went, and after 2 months, she called me in, said she needed to talk. So, go in, and this is how I knew just like how queen dipshit she really was. She had 2 offices. One was downstairs, main level. It was where she did most of her counting. There was a secondary office that she had upstairs, and that was like a ballroom slash like it was basically just like a hall, like a ballroom, a hall. Nothing super fancy, nice, but you know. But they had a small side room that they would use for staffing, and that's how you knew you were going to be dealing with Queen Know-It-All. Was that she called you in, you had to, and she's like, oh, I'm upstairs, you need to come upstairs. Like, okay, now I know what I'm getting myself into. Here comes Queen that knows everything. So she calls me in, I come in, I find out she's upstairs, I go upstairs. Um, she says, well, sit down. We need to have a little discussion. I said, sure thing. She goes, since you worked here, you really haven't been adding a whole lot to this place. And I kind of start laughing, and she goes, what's so funny? And I'm like, what does it matter? And she goes, well, it does. If I bring people in here, I want them to be adding something to the, what she say? Like, they want to add something to what is already there. And I said, I've talked to you numerous times about several major health violations, and you don't even know what you're talking about. And she goes, well, excuse me, I own this and you don't. If you want to run your own business. And like, I glossed over the religious part of it. Because first of all, it's silly, but secondly, like, it's not a reflection of everyone I know who attends a church. She would constantly, like, ask us, like, what time do you all get up in the morning? And I'm like, I don't know, 9, 10. And she goes, 9 or 10, I've already had my day started since 5, and then I gotta get to church like 4, 5, 18 times a week. And I'm like, good for you, that's your choice. And she goes, well, do you go? And I'm like, that's none of your business. So that was her mindset. It's like this early, or like late to bed, early to rise, super strict religious mindset, where she wanted to cater to a church crowd. And it's like, we're not going to cater to anyone if you don't improve the product you have first, and then you can worry about catering to a church crowd. And then she would reprimand people based on the decision. Like, she hated the fact that other people smoked, myself included. She hated the fact that everyone had a sailor's mouth. Everyone did. It's the kitchen business. Like, you're in a kitchen, you work. It's the food business. Everyone's got a sailor's mouth. Very rarely do you find someone who doesn't. That's not. And even if you do, that's not a sign that you're a bad person. It's a heated environment, tempers flare. So she was constantly telling everyone, it's like, oh, well, we don't talk about that in church. I'm like, good for you. Nobody cares. This isn't about you. We need to be a business. So she says, well, I got someone coming in who knows how to bake bread and soups. Do you know how to do that? I said, no, because that wasn't part of the hiring requirement. She goes, well, I just don't think it's working out. And I said, you know what? That's fine. I'm like, ever since I've been here since day one, I mentioned the fact that this place was in dire need of cleaning. It was completely brushed aside, unlike, the floors that should be getting cleaned. I have mentioned the fact that we got people who don't know how to properly do prep work, who don't know how to properly cook burgers. That was another thing. Nearly everyone there could not cook. They were terrible at it. Food came back all the time. It was like an episode of Kitchen Nightmares. I said, you have a 14-year-old running around on his cell phone with power tools, and he won't do the ordering. He doesn't know what he's doing, and you expect us to respect his authority? He's 14. He can't govern anything. And I said, now all of a sudden I'm supposed to feel bad because you hired someone that can make bread and soups. Congratulations. Good for you. Good for you. I hope you go places. But, a lot of this I'm saying internally, but all it was like, you know what, maybe this will work out for the best. I said, I'm like, I may not know everything about the food industry, but I do know that you need to keep your kitchen clean. I know you have to know what the temperature danger zones are. We got to keep our supply stocked, and we got to have people in here who know what they're doing. And I said, if some guy you found can make bread and soups will be the way you fix it, then by all means. Other than that, I thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you on down the road. And as I'm walking away, she had to get some last minute words. You'll never get anywhere with this attitude, and maybe you could take this as learning. I'm like, thank you, bye. I'm actually like talking. I'm like, thank you, bye. You don't have to try to get the last word in. I'm gone. But that was such an annoying 2 months. And thankfully after that I was able to find a more reliable job that was also a headache, but maybe that'll be for another video. But guys, let me know if you like work stories and if you want to hear more. Sorry if this is a longer video. It's one of my more longer ones. I do apologize, but the longer stories tend to keep people. I would like to think maybe a longer story what they like, maybe a shorter story, maybe divide it into parts. I don't know. So hopefully you all like this. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, you take it easy.